Okay, are you guys ready for this panel? This death match? Okay, first up, this is a group of some of my favorite comedic actors in the entire universe. First up, please welcome to the stage. She plays Mayor Joe Pezzimenti, the mayor of Las Vegas, Lauren Weedman. Please sit far from me. Thank you. Next up, we have the casino CEO, Marty Ghilain, played by the one and only Christopher McDonald. Thank you. And last but certainly not least, we have Deborah Jr., a.k.a. DJ Vance, played by Kaitlin Olson. Hi, you guys.
Hi, Paul.
Hello, Paul.
It's
Hey,
so
Paul.
nice to see you.
Guys, oh.
Yeah, there we go.
Scared.
Don't be scared. There's going to be gotcha questions, but we'll save them to the end.
Oh, no.
Okay? We're going to get political. We're going to get deep.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Unless anyone wants to do a political statement first. Mayor Joe, just kidding.
Oh, I was like, I'm ready.
No, please,
Okay.
not yet. So, as many of you know, if you've seen the show, while this category, everyone here is nominated in the guest actor category, these are people who have been on the show since season 1 and feel very much like part of the ensemble. It does not feel like your guests. It feels like you're absolutely family. So
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks, Paul.
I'm adopted, so I don't really bond
well,
with
yeah.
families.
But even stepsisters
feel?
are sisters, you know? They're the sisters who stepped. So I just want to start by saying, or asking you guys, since you have been on the show since season 1, just to talk a little bit about your experience being part of the ensemble, playing these characters, and getting to play them for 6 years now, for 5 seasons.
I will just say that I have this entire time felt so honored that you always did treat us like we were part of the main cast, because, you know, we've all done other people's shows before, and you kind of feel like you're showing up at a party that you're kind of invited to by like one person, and everybody's like, who's that? You guys have always made us feel really important and really valuable, and I've always said that about you, so thank you for that. But it's just been such a lovely collaboration, and it's rare that showrunners invite you to bring what you'd like to bring to it. You know what I mean? And that's kind of sad, but it's true. So that's my...
Very true. And I got to add one thing to that, because they really embrace little surprises. I remember it was season 2, and I was standing outside, and I was talking about something that that Gene wanted, or Deborah wanted, and then I just kind of walked away and said, "Show people." And it was just so funny that they left it in, and those kind of things that give you that kind of support, and boy, the alts that they have are jewels.
Yes.
So that was always a thrill to do too, and there was these 3, the JPLs. They're legendary writers. They've been together forever, and they've made this wonderful show that it's been a God's gift to play for the last few years. So,
My experience was more up and down, but that's... You know, that thing... Sorry, I think they were going to applaud you, and I cut it off. Sorry about that. Sorry, before they could feel something. Yeah, right. But that when you were talking about feeling really welcome to the cat, because I'm so used to being like a visitor that people are like, "Bye, Lauren," and I'm like, "I'll see you soon if I can." Okay, like, but when I first got the first day of shooting, I remember that I was like, "Oh my God, Christopher is talking to me, and Gene is too." And I really thought I was like, "Oh, I guess I'm with the old people now," and I was like, "I've got an immediate group." Like, because I'm like, where do I sit? And I first put it as that. It's just like, oh, they're probably like, there's Lauren. She's going to want to know about, I don't know, fiber. I don't know what people. But then it was, I felt so, it's sad to say that I felt immediately also like at ease and feeling like, oh, okay, good. I don't feel like an asshole, or just like,
You were an asshole.
even though, yeah, that's it. That's all an act.
still is, by the way.
Yeah, that's all an act. and working, I feel the same way about being able to work on it and watching, have the chance to sort of like get to the point where I was like, dear God, I've blown up my ego with the mayor so huge, but I was allowed to. So I was sort of like, fostered and given so much freedom around it. So nice.
Cool.
Did you ask that question so we would compliment you?
No, it's not about me, guys. It's about you, okay? It's really about you.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pump you guys up. Well, I'll start with you. I'll start with the man. Chris.
Smart.
You've had a prolific career. This is someone who's been in, Thelma and Louise, Requiem for a Dream. Crazy, incredible, iconic work.
You're in Thelma and Louise? That's amazing.
Oh, Daryl Dickinson. Yeah.
These two.
The first thing I want to ask you is about getting into the business and what made you want to do it, and just like because of your epic career, just tell us a little bit about how you started.
That's a fun story. I was working right out of college, and I got this play called Nightclub Cantata, and I thought, this is fantastic. I'd rather do this than schlepping bar drinks upstairs and I just thought, wow, this is great. So that show was supposed to come to Los Angeles, so I got into a thing and go. So I went home, got my parents' blessing, which was nice because they wanted me to be a dentist, and I said, I'm going to be an actor. And they went, oh, okay. So, but it worked out really well because I came west after I heard my buddies get together, and they said, you going to Hollywood to be an actor? I said, yeah, I'm going to give that a shot. And they go, see you in 6 months, hotshot. I went, ooh, thank you. Yeah, I used that as a momentum. I couldn't quit. I couldn't not. Of course, we all struggle in that time of our life coming out to this crazy, wonderful business. But at the same time, I could never, ever quit. And I did play after play after play until I got to a position where people started seeing me in these plays. And then I got a manager, and then I got an agent, and things started to change. So that whole period there was pretty rough. I just read my journal just in participation of this, and I thought, you guys do journals anymore? Probably not. Yeah. Good. They're healthy. They're really good,
yeah.
And they're also very depressing. But anyway, long story short is it all worked out, and then wow, what a fun career I've had, and I got a great arc on this show, and it's just been a blessing. So, thank you.
Okay.
That's it, yeah.
Let's stop making it about Paul.
I know.
That's 2 for 2.
That's 2 for 2. Well, Kaitlin, why don't you tell us about your journey into becoming the superstar that you are?
Yeah.
Thank you. My parents made me do summer camp in Tualatin, Oregon, Willowbrook. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Still going strong, apparently. They just hit me up on Instagram. It was thrilling. And they did plays, and they were doing Alice in Wonderland. So I auditioned. I was like, okay. I got Alice, of course. And I remember it was just the first thing I did. I was like, this is so fun. And the rehearsals were fun. And I loved, camp is hard. I would think I was 11, and camp is just hard, whether it's sleepaway camp or not. And I was making friends, and we were all in it together, and it was really, that whole thing was true. And then we had our first night, and my parents came, and they were sitting right in the front. And I just remember them just beaming and dying laughing and they were just so proud. And I was like, well, this feels good. And then it was just kind of that it just kind of kept going. Just constantly looking for approval. Much like my character.
And Lauren, did you go to camp?
I went to camp.
Okay. How did you get into the business? What the hell happened there?
The business? Into TV stuff. That's the business, right?
It's show business. Yeah, not politics. Yeah.
Showbiz.
You're not your character right now. She's method.
And
Yep.
that I am. Is that a joke?
No, it's not a joke.
I'm sorry.
No women are
Take that
method
quite
except one woman, and
serious.
she's here. Yeah.
I also know that my Spanx and stuff are showing. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry, but I can't control it anymore. The showbiz thing, I'm show folk. I've basically been on a back of a wagon looking for the next town, since I was really young, because I'm adopted. That does play a part. Because you're just don't send me back, don't send me back.
God.
And so you got to keep them laughing. Is that too dark? That's how I've always seen it. Sorry. but it's, and then I was theater, and then I was doing solo theater I was doing a show about looking for my birth mother, and I wanted to be able to tour it, and I was told in Seattle, they were like, if you want to tour your shows in the 90s, you have to have a New York Times review, so go to New York and go off Broadway, and I was like, okay, as if it was that easy, and obviously it's not, and then I got to New York, and they're like, it's better if you've been on TV, then you can go off Broadway, and I was like, well, this seems like a real fucked system, because there's no way. And then I did like a class at UCB just so I could use the stage to do a solo show. And then someone from The Daily Show came to see it. And then suddenly I got offered a job on The Daily Show, which was, and I did not think about television that much. I really didn't think I was, I don't know. I didn't think I'd get enough screen time. I think it's probably, I was like, with solo theater, you got it all for you. And yeah, so that's how I sort of got into the TV stuff.
Cool.
Thanks, man.
Chris, I saw that your daughter, Rosie, posted that you've played a lot of villains in your career, and very well. And those of us who know you know that you couldn't be further from a villain. And while, Marty in the show, obviously you play an antagonist to Deborah at moments, you take her residency away, but you have this on again, off again, and there is a sympathy to the way that you play him. In fact, it's because of the way that you play him that we wrote more and more and more for you, because we loved what you brought to him. And I just want you to talk about playing somebody who might be closer, as your daughter said, maybe the closest character you've ever played to yourself.
I remember Rosie saying that she's sitting right there. She's an actor, also training, and she's awesome. It's
Also a cast member of Hacks.
also a cast member on Hacks, right there. Woo! Yes, I think it's, yes, I've played tons of bad guys and the CAD and all that kind of stuff, and I never had a feeling that I could do the other stuff until I worked with Gene a couple of times, and the ease that we had together. When I was brought on to Hacks, it was like, oh my God, this is going to be great. Yes, I had to do some terrible things. Yes, I had to respond to the powers that be. Said, sorry, they're taking your show off. Then first I took her weekend away. Then I gave her the bad news, and she kicked me out. And it was just basically an arc that I never anticipated, but you guys do it. The writing. It was always so good, and it took me to this other level from being that guy to show my real emotion for how much I cared about Deborah Vance. And I helped her out through a couple of things. When you were getting married, and she was going, "Oh my God, what's happening?" Remember that craziness? It was nuts. And then we, spent the night together, and that was fun. So we had an on again, off again, and there's the wine scene
in the show. The characters. We're talking about the characters. I just.
Oops.
Rosie,
it was
settle down.
Make believe, right?
Don't tell Mom.
But anyway, it all comes down to the writing, and I just can't thank you guys enough, because it's where the heart is when you put that kind of emotion into a relationship, and it plays, and that's why we go to see the movies, and that's why we go to watch television, because I want to feel something, and I was glad I could step up to the plate and do that. As little as I did before that, it was just a chance to just blossom in that world, and came easier than I thought. So. Really grateful for the whole thing. That's just all I can say. Yeah.
Well, you are very kind to mention the writing, but it's only words on a page until it's brought to life. And I have to say, whenever, you had a moment with Gene, a sentimental moment, it really moved me. I was always moved so much by seeing you two together. And, that's all you. That's not the words.
That's very kind of you. Thank you.
It's true. That's true.
I will tell you this. There's the thing where I come off to say we were doing this. I guess it was second to last of the show, and our DP, Mr. Bickle, what a talent he is. So I came back and I said something to him, and I said, "You talented bastard!" And sure enough, you guys listened and you put it in the script.
Oh yeah, we're always listening.
Yep,
we're always listening. We're like a toddler, always listening and observing.
Yeah, I felt like you wrote to me, and that was that's another gift that I just got to say. It doesn't happen very often, right?
You are so good, Christopher. I didn't even know there was a crew. I'm kidding. Yes.
Okay, so speaking of writing two people, so some people may know this, but the only person that we wrote for when we were writing the script was Kaitlin Olson. We didn't know, Deborah was an amalgamation of all of these comedians. We didn't know who she was. And Gene would tell you she was too young to play the part when we wrote it. She needed to age up a few years until they finally ordered the pilot. But we always knew we wanted to work with Kaitlin because, as most of you here know, she is one of the funniest people living on the planet Earth.
Yes, she is.
Agreed.
Yes, she is.
Give it up. Give it up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's true. It's true. You are liquid funny. You are, and the first time, I'm sorry, I'm just going to, it's not my panel, but the first time we ever had you on set was for the DJ's birthday. Jean had a scene, and then she left, and Jean ran around to Village to watch Kaitlin perform because it's so.
She had no idea who I was.
Well,
So thrilling. She didn't.
Okay.
It was so thrilling to me. I was like, oh, she did. Okay. Challenge accepted. Jean Smart.
And an instant fan. And I will say, and I've told you this, I think that everyone on set gets better when you're on set because you're so good.
Because she's so good. You're always up to play.
Yes.
Like you throw the ball, she's ready to catch that ball, throw it right back.
And that was something we anticipated. But what we didn't anticipate was how good you are at the more emotional moments in the show. And so I just wanted you to talk about if that was something that you wanted to do, if you looked forward to it, if it was intimidating to you, how you did that. Because you are someone like Jean and like a lot of the actors in our show who can play comedy and drama, and they're not opposites, they're partners, and you play them both so well.
Thank you. That's really sweet. I really appreciate that. I will say that I've heard from, Bobby Farrelly saw Hacks and was like, oh, I want you to do Champions. Because I think that, I think people see comedians and they're like, oh, she's funny, so she probably can't also be sad ever. We're the saddest. But the opportunity to be able to stretch that range was thrilling for me. And it's not always easy, and it's certainly not easy if it's not written well, and it's not easy if you're not working with a partner who's really good at it. So those scenes that you wrote for Jean and me were such a gift because it was so easy to get to a place because she's giving you so much back. Theater actors, like we've kind of done it all, and to have the opportunity to be able to play a real person who, there's a bit of a cartoon character in there, hopefully, but hopefully it's grounded. And then also to be able to just show the reasons why she's like that is because she's so deeply hurt from this woman, and have that woman be Jean Smart and her incredible acting skills, being able to give that back to me. So I was always thrilled that you did that for me. So
well, you played it so beautifully, and it was always so moving. And to see you and Jean do that together was incredible. This season, you were in probably what is the hardest comedy episode you've ever done, which is the Amazing Race, D apostrophe.
Wasn't that great? Oh my God, I love it.
I mean, like
what a gift that was. I told you guys already, but I didn't know what I was opening up.
It was classic. It was Lucille Ball level physical comedy. I mean, she threw herself into a goat pen and just did it.
That goat hated me.
I mean, but it was so funny and so good. And, you've spoken about this recently, so I think it's okay to ask, but what we didn't realize was what was all that was going on with you personally. And so I need to know, because I know that your father passed away this year, how the hell you were so funny when you were going through all of that. You were so funny.
Thanks. Oh, oh shoot. Well, I brought a napkin, so everything's gonna be okay. So my dad was kind of dying the whole time, and I was. This is just.
It's okay.
I had a talk with myself.
Ride
about
the wave, lady. Ride the wave. It's
okay.
all right. All right.
Yeah, it was very challenging because I really just wanted to be in Oregon with my mom and dad, and you guys you were so lovely because my production schedule and High Potential was so challenging. So I was shooting that at the same time, and it was constantly moving the dates around, and I felt so bad for that anyway. And then I finally show up for my first day and go through hair and makeup and got a call, but he was rushed back to the ICU, and I was like, I gotta go. And you guys were so wonderful, and I didn't feel for 1 second because I produce my show too. I know you were like, fuck, this whole day's fucked. But nobody made me feel like that. You just hugged me and said go, and Hannah texted me later and said, I just want you to know the whole crew is, we're fine. We're just with you the whole time. And so that was really special. And then when I did come back, everyone was wonderful. And it was hard to be shooting a comedy and be so sad. But I talked to my parents about it, and they were like, what are you talking about? Get out of here. This is what we love about you. Like, go do your thing. makes us so proud and so happy. And so, yeah. But it was a long death, and I was able to be there most weekends and pop back and forth. And the most special thing is that he was able to see it. He saw the episode.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, it was the last thing of mine that he saw, and he just thought it was so funny. He loved the clown stuff and the goat stuff.
That's awesome.
Thanks. Thank you.
It was such a. When not to stay on the dead dying thing, but my dad, I could though. I do like the subject. It's so
it's
fucking
fun.
real. It's life. But the last thing I was working to, my dad died, and the last conversation I had with him was on the phone, which sucks. But it was he was in the hospital, and it was him saying to the nurse, "I'm talking to my daughter. She is an actress in California." And I was like, my God, he was so freaking proud, which I'm sure your father was.
Yeah. I was fortunate enough to be able to bring my dad and his whole operation home. He was on a ventilator and had a bed and emergency room nurses. And I was able to, my mom and I were able to bring him home for the last 5 months of his life. And every new nurse that would come in, he'd be like, "You see those posters out there? That's my daughter."
Yeah, so sweet.
Their house is embarrassing.
Well, you know what? I just have to say we didn't pry. We knew you were going through something, but you never let it show. I thought that was superhuman. You were, I think, funnier than you've ever been. So we thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah. We're going to take questions from the audience. Just kidding. I don't think I'm allowed to do that. And I'm not going to go rogue. I will get blow darted out. But I guess just, my last question for all of you is, you were all in the finale of the show. You were in the very final episode. And so I just wanted to talk to you about what that was like to be in the finale and say goodbye to the show. We'll start with you, Lauren. Lauren, you are lightning and so funny and always have a bit. And it's really...
That sounds negative.
No. Because you're a comedian and you're a comedic actor and you're brilliant. But I will say you had a very, I thought, sincere reaction when we did the table read. So I just wanted to hear about...
You were so surprised by it. I was like, you were like, look at Lauren. Like I was happy to be a part of the finale. I was really honored to be a part of it. And then I read the script. I'm not always good at reading and picking up on everything. And I knew it seemed amazing, but I didn't listening to it read aloud and watching Hannah and Jean read the script, and all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, I've been a part of, and I don't always let myself enjoy this kind of stuff because it always feels like if I'm at a dinner party, Hollywood, it's become such, who cares? Or, it just seems a little like, but this was a moment where I was like, this has really meant something. This has really meant something about how, but about the whole thing with the different ages, and that really resonates with me, and death and health and all this shit. I just thought it was such a. I was crying so hard that I had no choice but to cry. Do you know what I mean? Like I couldn't suck it up. And then when I went down to say, I just thought it was so beautiful. I couldn't believe you wrote it. I'm just kidding. But it was just so, I just thought it was perfect. I thought it was the perfect, meaningful, and it felt like, I'm like, oh my God, everybody along the way got deeper and deeper with this show. And it was allowed to go deeper and deeper and deeper, and the acting got, not to be like it was shit in the beginning, not at all. I just mean like it was just watching everybody go deeper in their stuff. And the writing, I thought, then I went over to say to you guys, like, I thought I was like, this is beautiful. And then, and you were like, you'd ask me something, you go, do you think, I don't know if it's okay. I feel like I get in trouble all the time. Like, Lauren, I wish you wouldn't have said that. But you were like,
I don't know, phone's down. I don't know what she's going to say.
Yeah. Well, you said something about like, you go, is it too heavy a little bit? Is it so? And I go, for people my age, it's not at all heavy. It's life. These things are coming up. If you're in your 50s and up, you know this really well. And so I was like, I thought it was beautiful. I always hold back my real feelings. And that one, I fully felt like, oh my God, I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was perfect every moment, but I really did. Yeah, it was amazing.
My turn? Okay. you know, you lean into it. You lean into the ending of a show because, yes, there's an ending, but oh my God, there's so much more love in the room and stuff like that. And I was sitting with Gene, and it was the big, you know, the diva place happening, and it was bittersweet. I mean, yeah, I cried. Okay, I did that. But at the same time, it was, you know, the love that you feel in the room is just incredible. You know, the crew, how fantastic they were, how brilliant they were, how like you don't even see them. They just like disappear in the background, and you get to do the thing. And yeah, it was a blessing, but at the same time, it was very, very sad. And a lot of people have said, "No, we need more years." You know, it's like you know, but we always knew it was going to be 5 years. So, but that said, it's just the show has just it was the way it ended. I mean, who didn't cry in that last scene? I mean, with the tower. I mean, Eiffel Tower, and then Happy Days Are Here Again. I mean, come on, that was just incredible. So, you guys knocked it out of the park, and my contribution of it was really well felt. So, thank you so much. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I just was so. I've just always been so proud to be a part of the show, but I was just so proud of you guys because, I mean, 5 seasons is a lot of seasons, and it's also short in like the scheme of things, but who gets to write their own ending to their show? Most people just like check to see if they've been canceled, and they're like, well, I guess that's the end. So like, I thought it was beautiful, and I'm always a big fan of ending on top and not overstaying your welcome, and I tell you guys this all the time, but I'm so proud of you, and I'm so impressed by you, and it's like the honor of a lifetime for you guys to have wanted me to be a part of this show because it's just so special and it's a once in a lifetime thing.
Well, we feel that way about all of you, and
I feel that way
Back
too.
at you.
I feel that way too.
Thank you.
I do.
Well
Thank you.
said. Just
Thank you.
saying.
But
No, I thought
I appreciate that.
You said it.
But no,
Totally.
But my dad also died.
I got paralyzed half my face. How's
Right, it's enough. It's enough. We were
Not to
supposed to,
be-
the time ran out a while ago. Get her out of here.
Speaking of overstaying your welcome, I just want to end it by saying thank you all because the show would not be what it is without you. And, you know, you are in this category because of the number of episodes you were in, but had we all the time in the world and all the pages in the world, you'd be in every episode because you are 3 of the best. The best.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Paul.
Love you, Paul.
Love you. Thank you.